Oh man, so CZ, the founder and CEO of Binance, just got an absolute grilling on CNBC. Many are saying that he's been exposed and you should not have trust in CZ, just like you should not have trust in Sam Bankman-Fried. We're going to break down exactly what was said in that interview and whether we should be concerned, particularly given the fact that he got a grilling and yet they seem to be covering the tracks for Sam Bankman-Fried. Loads to get into here, and I think the important thing to get into before we go into the actual clips is to understand that we're not here to take sides, right? What Sam Bankman-Fried is wrong, he's going to get arrested, let him go and let justice be prevailed over there. But now what we need to focus on is what's going on with CZ. It's not about taking sides and saying I'm either on Team CZ and therefore I'm against Sam Bankman-Fried. We just need to be objective to look at the data, and there's certain things here which come off, let's call it shady in this interview, and it's our job to make sure we're not keeping anybody on a pedestal and we're keeping everybody honest in this space. So let's get straight into the content. Smash a like, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get into the clip from CNBC.
Many issues about trust and credibility and integrity in this space, and I want to talk about FTX in a moment, but I want to start with what's happening at your own firm, given the outflows this week. I saw that you said on an AMA, this is one of these Ask Me Anything, you said there's no amount of withdrawals that would put us under any pressure. But that, I think, is a very bold statement to be.
And by the way, I think this is a really good statement. I want all exchange founders to come out with that level of confidence, because if you're backed one-to-one and you're actually backed one-to-one, so all the Bitcoin people hold your exchange, all the Ethereum, you hold it in a cold wallet, separate away from any other activity you do, you should be confident, right? You should be confident, because this is not normal banking when you have fractional reserve. There's a big difference here, and you should not be. This should not be considered FUD if people are saying we're going to run in your bank. It's a good stress test. So this is a good stance from CZ.
How are people, and why should people trust that their money is safe at this point?
So I think thanks, Andrew, for having me. And the well-run crypto exchanges should hold user assets one-to-one. So user deposit Bitcoin, we hold it in Bitcoin, we move to a cold wallet, we keep some in the hot wallet. And people, they sell it. Now the Bitcoin belongs to somebody else, but we still hold it in the cold storage. People can withdraw 100% of the assets they have on Binance. We will not have an issue in any given day. So 100% of the users withdraw 100% of the assets, we'll be fine. This is very different for traditional financial people to understand, because banks run on fractional reserves. Exactly. And the traditional regulators, many of them may think that it's okay for crypto businesses to be running on fractional reserves. That is not okay. In crypto, there's no central bank printing money to bail out banks when there's a liquidity crunch. So crypto businesses have to hold user assets one-to-one, and that's what we do. It's very simple.
Okay, but let me ask you about that specifically, and I don't want to get too technical, but indulge me for a moment. When you had what seemed to be liquidity issues around customers wanting USDC, it looked, at least from this vantage point, that what was happening here could have been avoided if, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, you allowed customers to deposit and hold USDC instead of what it looked like was that you auto-converted them into your own exchange dollar. Am I wrong?
There's minor corrections. So number one is we do the auto conversion into BUSD, which is not issued by us, which is not the exchange dollar. It's actually issued by a New York DYF licensed entity, Paxos. So the reserves are in New York. It's a stable coin. The problem we had before is we have many different types of stable coins on Binance. And Bitcoin trades against USDC, Bitcoin trades against BUSD, and the USDT, there's TUSD, there's a bunch of other things. And then it's very difficult for users to find the best price. So we said, okay, they're all stable coins and they should convert one-to-one. So let's combine all of them into one, so that the users just they want to buy Bitcoin, they go to Bitcoin BUSD and they find it. On the deposit and withdrawal, we do the conversion. We have channels to convert them one-to-one. But the channels we have actually have to go through a bank, because to convert from BUSD to USDC, we have to sell BUSD into US dollars, cash in a bank, move it to a different bank account, and then buy USDC at a different institution. So that day, we had more users trying to buy or trying to deposit BUSD and withdrawing USDC. And we ran out of that. And the bank that does the conversion doesn't open until 6 hours later. And that's a bank in New York. So we were actually blocked. This issue was actually caused by a bank. So that's what, and stablecoin is the only one we convert. Every other asset, people deposit Bitcoin, we hold Bitcoin. People deposit Ethereum, we hold Ethereum.
Right. And you understand why I'm asking you that question, because it does appear in that instance, at least, that when you said no amount of withdrawals would put you under pressure, by default, it put you under pressure, whether it was you're doing or some other bank's doing. And so the question is, longer term, would you reevaluate how you do that?
So we have the assets to convert. So there's no margin, no leverage. We just needed the bank to open. So the bank opened 6 hours later, it was fine. So banks don't work for 24 hours a day. Banks only work for a few hours a day. And when you try to, and when banks are shut down, when banks are closed, you try to withdraw money, it doesn't work. That's exactly the same situation that happened. And we allowed people to withdraw other stable coins onto other platforms to do conversion if they want. So there was not a liquidity issue. It was just there was a conversion issue that was going through the bank.
In terms of the credibility of Binance, you disclosed that Binance holds about $60 billion of crypto assets. But thus far, you haven't disclosed your liabilities. And I wonder why that is and whether you will.
Yeah, so we are working with firms to do the audit of financials, liabilities, etc. Very simply, Binance does not owe people money. Binance does not have loans from other companies, from other funds. We just don't have it. You can ask any fund in the ecosystem. You can ask any VC. We actually also do not have VC investments, so we don't owe anybody any money. And we also do not have loans to other people that we depend on for our next payroll. So we are very simple, very self-contained type of organization, and we manage our cash very simply. So that's very, very different from the FTX situation, where so people who are hurt by FTX are now worried about everybody else, and they were defending FTX before, but that's why they have money on FTX. So, but just because they're bitten by one snake doesn't mean that every other animal is the same.
CZ, the other thing I wanted to ask you about, and this relates to FTX. Yesterday, Kevin O'Leary testified in front of the Senate, and he was asked where did the money go, meaning the FTX money. And he suggested that one place that the money may have gone is, in fact, to you. When Sam Bankman-Fried, back in the summer of 21, effectively bought out your stake in the company. How concerned are you that that money will be clawed back? Are you prepared to hand it back to creditors if, in fact, they were to ask? And was it paid to you in U.S. dollars, in some other kind of currency?
Well, first of all, I think Calvin O'Leary, he's making a bunch of nonsense claims, and they don't make sense. They don't make any logic. He shouldn't be making those claims as a celebrity investor. I'm actually very surprised that he's able to omit a lot of different things and make some really specific, targeted things. For example, in that interview with you guys, that in the same interview, he said the entire record from his account on FTX, the entire records are gone. He's not concerned about that. He just picks up the phone and calls SBF. He's not concerned about the fact that the platform records for users are gone. He's not concerned about other users. How many people can pick up the phone and call SBF? And he says he was talking with SBF up until the point that SBF was arrested.
Yeah,
that's an indicator of a very special relationship.
Yeah, I see your point, and I don't think the problems that existed at FTX were simply any back and forth between your two firms. It definitely led to the disclosure that there had been money that was taken, but that disclosure raises lots of questions about firms like yours. Have you done the same? Has there ever been commingled funds? Have you ever taken any of the clients' funds and done anything with them? And again, why should we believe you? Because Sam Bankman-Fried told everybody, no, that hasn't happened, and he tweeted a lot of the same stuff that you've been tweeting in recent days, which I think...
And look, to be fair, these are the kind of questions which journalists should have been asking Sam Bankman-Fried. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't ask them now. I'm happy you're asking CZ those questions, because CZ's not my friend. I couldn't care less, right? But the reality of things are, these should have been asked for Sam Bankman-Fried, and now CZ's getting the rough side of the stick, but it's good. It's good for the space. We've got to move on with it. So anybody saying, oh, this is unfair, etc., I agree with you, but it doesn't mean that he shouldn't get the grilling now. Let's get it right now, what we should have got right before.
It's back to this idea of show me the money.
Yeah, so let's get back to show me the money part. So Calvin omitted the fact that there's no records, that's not a problem to him. So he just want to talk to Sam and believe whatever Sam says. He doesn't want to look at the records. And if you look, and he wants to omit all the small spendings, $50 million, $200 million. $200 million is small spending. That's very convenient. He says he didn't know that Binance was a shareholder of FTX. So he invested in FTX without looking at the cap table. But he was very specific in the way he counts for a transaction 2 years ago. So that's kind of contradictory. So I think Calvin's a liar. So I think he's lying about a bunch of stuff.
Shots fired.
So that's his problem. To us, we want to be transparent. We want to set the golden standard for reliability, solidness in this space.
So do it.
And we're
Okay, so up to this point, CZ pretty much handles the questions quite handily, but this is where I start to take a little bit of an issue with some of these responses, particularly when talking about audits. Because remember, one of my concerns when they started the proof of reserves was, one, why did it take so long? Why did you have to wait for FTX to collapse before offering proof of reserve? And then secondly, you've offered proof of reserve, but you're not showing proof of liabilities. So you could be holding all the Bitcoin that all your customers deposit. But if you take that deposit, those deposits, and somewhere, even though they're held there, you're borrowing against it, using it as collateral, we end up in the same position as which we started off. You have huge liabilities which don't cover, and that's what causes the problems. So we need to see proof of liability. Yes, he says early in the interview, we don't lend anybody any money, but what about derivatives? Is there anything going on intercompany? It'll be good if you over-index on transparency to tell us what is going on, or if that money is just sat there completely uncollateralized and just sitting there waiting for customers to withdraw, which is what people are expecting. Now let's get on to the clip about auditing.
We want to be transparent. We want to set the golden standard for reliability, solidness in this space.
So do it. Would you be able to handle it if somebody asked you for $2.1 billion?
But audits don't reveal every problem. So,
no, but an audit from a Big Four auditor would reveal that, CZ. If you could get a Big Four auditor to say that, if you're saying that some of them don't want to work with you, that raises questions too. They don't want to work with you because you don't have the files and the data that would make them feel comfortable signing off and giving that stamp of approval.
And this is where things start to get really interesting. So the journalist here, she from Squawk, I don't know her name, but she's really starting to dial in on the fact that why haven't you had an audit? And particularly, why haven't you had an audit from a Big Four accounting firm? And this is one of the things I took exception to, because the proof of reserves was done by an accounting firm called Mazars, and I had various issues when we were looking into this. Why would you not just go with one of the Big Four, over-index on transparency like we're saying, and put to dust any of the speculation and concerns we're having here? It's not difficult for you to pay a top 4 accountancy firm unless there's something nefarious going on, unless you've got something to hide, or if those Big Four accounting firms don't want to do it. And we've heard things like this before from Bloomberg, saying that loads of people have been struggling with the entity structure of Binance. There's so many parent companies and companies within silos, similar to what John Ray has testified about FTX. It's very confusing in their structure, and purposely so to make litigation very difficult, because people don't even know which company or which entity to sue, even if they want to go down the legal action route. So this is a very important question put to CZ.
Actually, many of them don't even know how to audit crypto exchanges. They don't really, when they audit.
How does that make any sense? How can you say that none of the Big Four know how to audit a cryptocurrency? I'm pretty sure Deloitte do Coinbases, which is one of the biggest exchanges in the world, one of the best regulated exchanges in the world. So why are you saying that they don't know what they're doing? I mean, it's just, do you think Mazars is doing a better job by just you doing agreed upon principles, which we covered on one of the in one of the older videos? Right? Because your proof of reserves was just an exercise that Mazars did. It's not an audit. There's a very big difference. We did not touch upon financial controls. We did not touch upon any of that, right? All the mistakes that FTX have made would have come out in a solid audit. The fact that they're using QuickBooks, the fact that they have no financial controls, this would all come out in a clear audit from a Big Four accounting firm. It shouldn't be an issue.
They don't really, when they, so
does Coinbase, Coinbase has a Big Four. Coinbase has a Big Four auditor?
Actually, I don't look at Coinbase. We don't really look at
I think so, though.
I don't know the details.
They understand.
Would you be able to handle it if somebody asked you for $2.1 billion back? Would that be okay? Would you be able to still withstand things?
We're financially okay.
Including you have $2.1 billion to give away. If somebody came to claw that back, you'd still be fine?
We'll let the lawyers handle it. We are financially strong.
Look at our face. So there you have it, guys, an absolute drilling for CZ, and I know a lot of you will be feeling that CZ got the hard end of the stick right here, with the US media purposely pushing in and asking him the difficult questions when they weren't prepared to do the same for Sam Bankman-Fried. But we've got to be objective, guys. We've got to park the past. Whatever's happened with Sam Bankman-Fried, we've got to learn from it. We've got to appreciate that these are the right questions to ask. Yes, they should have been asked before, and I've continually said, do not put any of these exchanges on a pedestal, particularly these unregulated exchanges. The reality is we don't know what they're doing in the background, and when we don't know, it's silly of us to take sides. You don't need to take sides, guys. Why do you need to wait to find out? Learn to take self-custody of your story, of your crypto. Learn to use exchanges as they're using you, right? They're making money on trading volume. Use them when it suits you and move exchanges when it doesn't, right? Keep it simple. Why do you need to be like, I love Binance, I love FTX, I love Bybit, I love BITGET? It really doesn't matter. Use the platforms, keep custody of your own crypto, and understand that any of these could be up to anything. If there's one thing that the FTX saga has taught you, Sam Bankman-Fried came smiling as this generous billionaire, loving philanthropy, driving a Toyota Corolla. What a model billionaire who came up from nothing in a couple of years. Do not let any of these fool you, guys. Continue to ask the hard questions. Continue to scrutinize everything. Hopefully Binance is completely fine. Hopefully we don't have any of these issues because it's not good for the crypto space. But always look at it subjectively. A lot of those questions CZ answered really well, but the audit thing leaves a little bit of a bother in my mind, and these kind of things do cause a few qualms. The FTX issue continues to be an issue for me because, you know, on the one hand, CZ says, oh, I forgot about that money, right? The 500 million FTT sat in the wallet. I almost forgot it wasn't there. But then it was so important to you that you announced that you're going to sell it. Right? So it seems a bit contradictory that you did some coordinating selling, wanted to be completely transparent, but then on the other side of things, you forgot $500 million is sat there? You forgot? So are your financial controls any better than Sam Bankman-Fried when he says, I don't know where the money is? You're doing the same thing. You're saying, I don't know where the money is, or I forgot about the money. Hugely irresponsible, not a good look, and we've got to call it out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to smash up the likes. Don't forget to subscribe as always. Check out the links in the description. Go watch this video from earlier today where Kevin O'Leary fires shots at CZ, and I'll see you in the next one.